I think about Thune, John Cornyn, and what I see are Mitch McConnell light and Mitch McConnell light. And I know that one of those two barnacles, to use your words, they're going to take over for Mitch McConnell the second we finally get rid of that dude, and therefore nothing will change because nothing seems to ever change in Washington, D.C., except the age and the face.
It's a battle of which John would be least feckless, right? Or like somewhat more palatable. You've got John Cornyn, you've got John Barrasso of Wyoming, and John Thune of South Dakota, none of whom are anywhere close to being rock rib conservatives. I mean, John Cornyn, Jesse, you're a Texan, I'm a former Texan. I mean, Texas conservatives have had issues with John Cornyn for decades and decades and decades, going all the way back to his time as Texas Attorney General, where he was even a weak Attorney General statewide. John Thune, who I think has already endorsed Tim Scott's presidential campaign, if I have that correctly. I think he's the only sitting U.S. senator to do so. That kind of says all you need to know about where John Thune's political priorities are. John Barrasso, who back when he ran for U.S. Senate the first time in Wyoming back in the 1990s, ran as an openly pro-abortion Senate candidate from arguably the reddest state in the country, Wyoming. So I like you at this point, I would probably roll the dice with McConnell until he either resigns or croaks, I think, but it's not a particularly good choice.
No, it's certainly not. And I don't like it that none of our young hot shots seem interested in taking, a run at the crown. Here was Josh Hawley on my show.
I mean, listen, I'm a guy who voted against my own leadership in the Senate. I mean, I just did it a few months ago where I voted against our current leadership. I said I thought we needed somebody different. We need somebody new. We need somebody who's actually in touch with the voters. And I stand by all of that. I mean, I say it practically every single day. I just think the Senate is really out of touch with the American people.
Senator, are you going to be in leadership soon? I totally agree. Our leadership really, really sucks in the Senate. The House is a little bit better, but are we going to see a move to kind of replace some of this old guard that's let us down time and time again?
Well, it's not going to be me.
It's not going to be me. They all say it when I text them, when I talk to them, Josh. Well, it's not me. Maybe somebody, not me. Why don't any of the good guys want to be in leadership?
It's a good question, right? I mean, I think going back to kind of the Tea Party era, this mentality kind of seeped into Republican voters that anyone who was part of leadership was necessarily, therefore, part of the establishment. And if you're part of the establishment, then you're going to get a primary challenger. So, I mean, but at some point, it obviously becomes a self-defeating ideology, right? I mean, we do want conservatives in positions of power. I mean, back in January, I was very skeptical of Kevin McCarthy getting anointed as House Speaker. I was hoping to get a more conservative figure. I would have loved to see someone like an Andy Biggs or a Thomas Massie. I mean, was it far-fetched? Was it a long shot? Maybe, but you don't know that it's going to be successful or fail until you try. Jesse, the one kind of like genuinely conservative-leaning U.S. senator who I could actually see maybe being able to cobble a coalition together to actually lead the caucus is actually my former boss, Mike Lee of Utah. So Mike Lee, I think right now he's the head of the Senate steering committee on the Republican side. He's had kind of quasi leadership roles. He's been very involved with the Joint Economic Committee. He's generally well liked by his peers because he's frankly just a very friendly, amiable guy. He doesn't make a whole lot of enemies. He has that very nice Mormon disposition, and he is unambiguously conservative, obviously. So he's kind of the one guy who probably hasn't ruffled feathers like Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz. So I could possibly see Mike Lee getting it. Tom Cotton, another possibility, but I don't know. Other than that, it's kind of hard to see where that Venn diagram overlap is between plausibility and conservative bona fides.
For too long, we've been led to believe that communism is a thing of the past. But the truth is, communism is alive. It's here, and it's infiltrating every aspect of American life. Introducing the Anti-Communist Manifesto by Jesse Kelly, the practical guide for patriots ready to defend our nation from its most dangerous enemy. Discover the shocking extent of communist infiltration in our education system, their alliance with American corporations, and the twisted truth behind environmentalism. This eye-opening book exposes the true face of communism and empowers you to fight back. Join the fight for freedom. Pre-order your copy of the Anti-Communist Manifesto today by going to jessekellybook.com.